Zanzibar, does a dinosaur go to the dentist? I'm Heckerty.
And I'm Zanzibar.
Pororo meets Heckerty. When Pororo woke up one morning, the snow was deep on the ground. Crong opened the front door, and he was immediately covered in snow. The only way we can go out, Pororo said, is on our sled. Crong agreed, and soon they were sliding down the hill to the playground. They were very happy to see their friends had had the same idea. Bobby and Harry, Eddie and Rhodey, and Petty and Loopy were all there, bundled up in scarves, gloves, and mittens. As they were discussing what to do, Pororo thought he saw something strange. Harry noticed Pororo staring. "What are you looking at, Pororo?" he asked. "I don't know," said Pororo. "I thought I saw something moving over there, by that straggly tree." "What straggly tree?" asked Harry, flying over to Pororo. "I know all the trees around here, and there aren't any straggly ones." Pororo looked at Harry, and then at where he thought he'd seen the tree, and then back at Harry again. "It's gone," he said. Then, "No, it's not. It's there, and it is a straggly tree, and it does have snow on its branches." "Wait," Harry said, and he flew over to see what the tree was all about. He was back very quickly, very excited, and talking as fast as his wings were flapping up and down. "It's not a tree," he squealed. "It's 4 trees, and they are all different. There's the straggly tree that you saw, and a black furry tree with a knot in its trunk. And then there are 2 other trees with very strange stripes and bumps on top. One pointing one way and one pointing the other way. And there's snow on everything." "That's odd," said Pororo. So he and Crong climbed on their sled and went down the little hill till they arrived at the strange trees. All their friends came too, and soon they were all standing round the trees. "Crong, Crong," said Crong, sounding a little scared. "What do you think they are?" Loopy asked Eddie. Everyone always asks Eddie because he reads a lot, and that makes him very smart. Eddie walked up to the trees and looked at them closely. "They are very strange trees," he said. "Very strange indeed. I don't think they are trees. What can they be? Can you guess? What do you think they are?" Eddie walked up to the trees and looked at them closely. "They are very strange trees," he said. "Very strange indeed. I don't think they are trees." He went to one of the striped trees. "I think this comes off," he said, tugging at what looked like a shoe. It didn't move. So he tried again, and the shoe came off so quickly that Eddie sat down with a bump in the snow. Loopy squealed. "Look," she said, "toes! Toes! There are toes!" And there were big, cold toes sticking out of holes in striped socks. "Those aren't trees," Eddie said seriously. "Those are legs, and I think they're frozen." Eddie, Pororo, Crong, and Poby began to dig near the striped legs, while Petty and Loopy dug around the black furry pole. "Got it!" squeaked Petty as Loopy started jumping up and down. And slowly, very slowly, he began to pull something black out of the snow. It was almost frozen, so Loopy, who is very kind, thought it would be a good idea to take it to her house, which was warm from all her cooking, so it could thaw out. Soon the others had pulled out the other block of ice, with legs sticking out, and they all stared at it. "What is it, Eddie?" asked Pororo. He hid behind Poby in case whatever was in the ice was dangerous. Crong went over to the block, looked at it carefully, and then squealed, "Crong, Crong," before leaping away and hiding behind Pororo. Soon everyone except Eddie and Rhodey was hiding in a line behind the polar bear. I think, said Eddie slowly, I think it's a witch, and I think we have to get her somewhere to unfreeze. Let's go to Loopy's, said Poby. She's gone home with Petty and her house is always warm. So Rhodey twirled his arms around the block to help pull it, and Poby pushed, and they set off for Loopy's. Loopy's house was warm and cozy. The ice around the witch was melting. Plop, 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 it went. Drip, drip, drip. And then sometimes, plop, drip, plop. And other times, drip, plop, drip, until all the ice had melted. What was left was me. I'm Heckerty, the witch with a green face, and sitting next to the stove was my black cat Zanzibar with a big knot in his tail. He had thawed out and was staring at all the friends in the room. He was wondering where he was and what had happened. Eddie arrived with the fourth tree in his hand. It was my broomstick, wet and soggy, but with its handle and all its twigs. Eddie leaned it against a wall, close enough to the stove where it could dry out, but not close enough to get burned. I looked round the room. There was a boy penguin in an aviator's helmet, a small green dinosaur, a polar bear, a tiny bird, a fox, a beaver, a robot, and a girl penguin. And instead of staring at me, they were all smiling. One by one, they introduced themselves, and in a few minutes I had 8 new friends. Oh, how lucky I am, I thought. No one here is scared of my green face. In fact, Crong, the little dinosaur, has a green face too. We were immediate buds. Hello, I'm Heckerty, I said. I'm from Spellbound, and that over there is my cat, Zanzibar. I must have fallen asleep and fallen off my broomstick. Where am I? In our forest, said Pororo. We all live here, and we're very glad you dropped in. Everyone laughed, and we knew at that moment that everything was going to be all right. I was starting to tell them more when the little dinosaur walked over and put his face up to mine. Crong green, he said with a smile showing huge white teeth. You green. Crong, crong. And he jumped up and down in excitement. Then he stood next to me and put his head on my shoulder. I think, said Poby, I think Crong thinks you are his mother. Crong, crong, squealed Crong. Crong, mama. And he pointed at me. Me! Heckerty, the 409-year-old witch from Spellbound. Crong, mama, Crong said again, and put his head back on my shoulder. What was I going to do? Crong, mama, Crong said again, and put his face close to mine. Crong, crong, he said, pointing at his big white teeth. Ow! Crong, crong. Crong had a toothache and wanted me to look into his mouth and see what was wrong. He opened his mouth wide and I looked in. I looked and looked and then saw he had a hole in a tooth in the back. Do you like candy? I asked him. Crong, crong, he said happily, and then winced because the tooth hurt. He loves candy, said Pororo. I can't get him to stop eating it whenever we have some. And cakes and cookies, said Loopy. I could be baking all day, just for Crong. Well, I said, I'm Heckerty, and I'm a witch, and I can make his tooth better with a special tooth-fixing spell. Let me see. How does that spell go? I know.
Hoodly squatnik caboodler eye, faster than the twinkling of an eye. Mix the spell and make it stick. Stir the mixture quick and thick. Find an eyelash from a foal, add it to the bubbling bowl. Scrunch-a-dilly-ack flankady. Fix Crong's tooth in time for tea.
Zanzibar looked at me as if to stop me. But in a second there was a flash, a bang, and Crong faced me with 2 huge tusks sticking out of each side of his mouth, like an elephant. Oh no! Had I got it wrong again? Yes, I had. Oh dear! Now what? Pororo and all the friends gathered round Crong, who was crying. Oh, Heckerty, can you put him back the way he was? Asked Pororo. Well, could I? Would he get his teeth back? Will I get the next spell right? What do you think?
Pororo and all the friends were hugging Crong, who was still crying. Please, Heckerty, can you put him back the way he was? Asked Pororo. Oh, yes, I said in a hurry. I'm so sorry, Crong. Poor Crong was still crying, and everyone was worried. Zanzibar came over to me. He'd been wanting to say something for ages, and I'd ignored him.
You got it wrong.
He hissed.
You said foal instead of mole.
So that's what I'd done. Silly me. Now I had to fix it. I used an undo spell. I'm good at those. And happily, the tusks disappeared. Zanzibar, I said, and all of you, why don't you sing it with me so I get it right? We all sang the spell together, this time using the right words.
Holy Swatnik Kaboodle-Rai, faster than the twinkling of an eye. Mix the spell and make it stick. Stir the mixture quick and thick. Find an eyelash from a mole. Add it to the bubbling bowl. Scrunch-a-dilly-ack flankady. Fix Crong's tooth in time for tea.
And sure enough, another flash, another bang, and a smiling Crong. I looked into his mouth again, and the hole in his tooth was gone. Crong, Crong, he said happily. Wonderful, said Poby and the little bird together. Brilliant, said Loopy. Marvelous, said Pitty. Fantastic, said Pororo. I could have done that, said Eddie. Now, Crong, I said, you must remember to brush your teeth every morning and every night. And brush them again after eating ice cream or cake and candy. Crong, Crong, said Crong. I'll make sure he does, said Pororo. We will too, said the others. We have a special toothbrushing song, and we'll all brush our teeth too.
Time for us to go,
said Zanzibar.
before Heckerty gets into more trouble.
By now, Broomstick was not only dry, he was all warmed up from being near the stove. We climbed on, and Zanzibar fastened his seatbelt. Thank you, bye-bye, and come and see us again soon, our new friends called to us. We will, we shouted back. Broomstick rose from the ground and waited to be told where to go. Spellbound, I said, and we rose up in the air, turned upside down, and started our journey. As we circled over Loopy's house, we could hear our new friends singing their toothbrushing song. Zanzibar and I looked at each other. and smiled.
Coming now, Pororo's toothbrushing song.
Hello, friends! Let's listen to the toothbrushing song and brush your teeth with Pororo! Brush, 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 brush. Let's sing the toothbrushing song! Up and down, scrub your teeth. Front to the brush your teeth. Up and down, scrub your teeth. Front to the brush your teeth. There are lots of sweets around me, like chocolates and candies. Brushing is not a fun thing to do, but we have to defeat the germs. Squeeze your toothpaste. Bubble, 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 make some bubbles. Circle on your left teeth, circle on your right teeth. Shine your teeth now. Bright, make your teeth bright. Brush your teeth with Pororo. Now you've done really well. See you again in brushing time.
Like Heckerty? Tell your friends.
Tap here to continue watching our videos right now. And tap here to subscribe to our channel.
Love from Heckerty.